Welcome to the Siege of Orgrimmar 10-Man Normal Guide. My name is Eve, and here we have Aaron, and today we'll guide you through the Fallen Protector's normal fight. All the features and abilities you will see are from the live service. This is a council fight with 3 bosses, Rook, He, and Sun. They do not share health, and they need to be killed within 15 seconds of each other. We use 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 6 DPS for this fight, however using 3 healers instead might be good depending on your raid group. Now the main mechanic in this fight is called Desperate Measures. Every time a boss reaches 66 and after that 33%, they will cast Desperate Measures, making them disappear for the duration of this and summoning adds in its place. Every boss summons different adds with different abilities. But let's start off with all boss normal abilities.
Rook is a monk. He hurls kegs of corrupted brew at a random ranged target. This does some damage, slows them, and has a 5-yard splash effect, meaning your raid will have to stay spread out. He also uses Clash on a random target, which is the same as the normal monk Clash ability. He will drag you towards him and meet you halfway. When this happens, he will instantly start channeling Corruption Cake. This does some AoE damage within a 10-yard range around him. His last ability is Vengeful Strikes, which is a frontal cone ability, stunning his target and dealing a large amount of physical damage twice per second for 3 seconds. This can hurt your tank, so healers need to be aware of this, and tanks should pop a cooldown before this happens. We have Sun. She is a Shadow Priest. She does not need to be tanked, as most of the time she'll be channeling Seer, basically her version of Mindseer, on a random target, not damaging her initial target, but doing AoE damage to everyone in 5 yards around her target. She puts a dot called Shadow Word Bane on targets. This ticks for a large amount of damage every 3 seconds for a total of 18 seconds. However, for each tick it will duplicate itself and jump to another target, the maximum of 4 targets at the same time per buff. This basically means you will have to dispel the initial 2 debuffs as soon as possible to prevent the dot from jumping around and overwhelming your raid. This can also be mass dispelled. Her last ability is Calamity, a modified version of Halo, hitting everyone for 30% of their maximum health and removes all Shadow Word Bane debuffs. And last we have He Softfoot. He is a rogue and coats his weapons with 2 different types of poisons. The instant poison will simply inflict more damage on every melee attack to your tank. The Noxious Poison ability will create poison pools on the floor for every melee attack that lands. When his poison is active, you'll have to kite him around. He also applies a debuff to a random raid member called Garrot that ticks for a large amount of damage every 2 seconds, and in the end will be your soft enrage timer. Luckily, he will remove all debuffs of Garrot when he enters his Desperate Measures phase. His last ability is Gouge. When this happens, it will try to gouge the eyes of his tank, which will then incapacitate the tank for 6 seconds, and he will run off to a random target. The easy way to fix this is to simply have your tank move his back towards He, so essentially you will have to face your back to He for a split second while he casts Gouge.
This all sounds like a lot, but in essence you just want your raid to spread out at least 5 yards, your healers to dispel the Bane debuff, and keep an eye out on the Garrot targets. Your tanks need to kite He and be aware of when Gouge is coming in, and the other tank should make sure to pop a cooldown for every Vengeful Strikes. As said before, every time a boss reaches 66 and 33% health, they will cast Desperate Measures. They will disappear themselves and summon adds in their place. Rook, the monk, will summon 3 adds, embodied Sorrow, Gloom, and Misery. Your first priority is Sorrow. This will cast Inferno Strike on a random raid member, dealing 1.2 million damage when this hits. However, this damage is split between everyone in 8 yards. Just make sure to have your raid stacked up on this person and kill off Sorrow. After that, Gloom is most dangerous. He will chuck bolts of lightning around in random locations, doing moderate damage to everyone in 4 yards. And last there is Misery. He casts Defile Ground, which will do some damage to your tank, knock them back and leave a bad patch on the floor. For this you should just slowly be kited around until he's killed off. When all 3 adds are dead, Rook will reappear in the fight and continue with his normal abilities. Sun, our Shadow Priest, will place a purple barrier in the middle of the room and start channeling a meditation, doing raid-wide AoE damage. Standing in a purple barrier will reduce all damage taken from this by 35%. She will spawn 2 adds called Despair and Desperation. The adds themselves stand outside the barrier and should be nuked down by a ranged DPS. These adds will also spawn a Shaft Manifestation, And all damage done to these ads will also be reflected to the embodied despair and desperation, allowing your melee to help out during this part of the phase as well, while staying in the barrier. Now when both of these ads are dead, some will reappear into the fight and will continue with the normal abilities. He, or Rogue, only spawns one ad called the Embodiment of Anguish. This ad cannot be tanked and will attack the player who has the Mark of Anguish. This is a dot which can be passed around. You do this by using your extra action button Blizzard will give you. When you get the Mark of Anguish, you will also get a debuff decreasing your armor by 50% for 2 minutes. For this very reason, you should never give the debuff to the tanks. You will have your DPS to chuck the debuffs to each other on cooldown, since the ad will melee for a fair amount and will stack a debuff called Shadow Weakness on you, increasing the damage you take from the Mark of Anguish. Every time you pass the debuff to a new player, the whole raid will get a stack of Shadow Weakness as well. You might guess this, but when the ad is dead, he will reappear into the fight and continue with his normal abilities.
Now, in order to defeat this fight, you'll have to go through 2 Desperate Measures phase per boss. We did that in the following order: Rook, He, Sun, Rook, Sun, He. We left He for last to clear out all the Garrot buffs, which will be your soft and regen timer for this fight. When you have had your last Desperate Measures, you will have to make sure all 3 bosses die within 15 seconds of each other. Upon reaching 1% health, the bosses will start channeling a heal with a 15-second channel time that will heal the lowest health boss for up to 20% of their health. So obviously, will require some raid coordination.
So, altogether, stay spread, healers will have to dispel people with Bane and be extra aware of the Garrett targets, kill the ads in the Desperate Measure phases as soon as possible, stack in the purple barrier when it's up, chuck around the Mark of Anguish, and have your tanks be good with Vengeful Strike and Gouge. Now, we wish you the best of luck with this fight and we hope you enjoy it. Please do subscribe to the channel and give this video a like if we helped you out, we really do appreciate it.